Is there anything that you know off by heart? And by off by heart, I mean you don't need cues, you don't need cue cards, you don't need visual prompts, you just know it. Something that you've learned. Perhaps it's within your profession, something that you say and do in a certain way every day that you hardly have to think about it at all, let alone look it up. So a flight attendant, for example, we know that at a certain time they go into a stock standard drill and they will say something like, "Will all passengers please make sure that your safety belts are securely fastened, your tray table is stowed away safely, that your blind is fully open and your seat in the upright position as we prepare for landing." They say it in a rote way, but they remember it, and I suppose we do that. If there's something you remember by heart, maybe it's the grace you said as a child before a meal, or maybe it's the Lord's Prayer that you sang at school in a certain way. Maybe, if you are that way inclined, you are somebody who has proposed many a toast, or you'd lean toward that beautiful Irish one: "May those who love us, and those who don't, may God turn their hearts, and if not their hearts, then their ankles, so that we may know them by their limping. Cheers." Perhaps it's a nursery rhyme you still remember. Do children still memorize nursery rhymes? I'll never forget "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky." Of course, I'll also never forget learning that in big words later, just to impress people: "Scintillate, scintillate, globule vivific, how I ponder thy nature specific, loftily poised in the ether capacious, closely resembling a jewel carbonaceous. Scintillate, scintillate, globule vivific, how I ponder thy nature specific." Fancy, eh? How about songs? Don't you think it's amazing that it can be years after you last heard a song on the radio, maybe you were still listening to it on a record, an LP, and you hear that song again, and immediately, not only do you know where you were and how old you were and everything about when you first heard that song, but the lyrics come rushing back to you like it was yesterday. We remember them. There's something about music, and whether you're listening to it today on Spotify or Apple Music, on your phone or on some other form of device, it's always the same. Those lyrics stay with us. They, in fact, become a soundtrack to our lives in some way or other. And so today what I'd like us to do is I'd like us to look at Psalms, the songs of the Bible, and I want to show you, perhaps once again or perhaps for the first time, how those songs of the Bible, the Psalms, are a way to remember, they're a way to reflect, they're a way to know God and His expression of His love for us and our expression of our love for Him, our frustration and our anger, all of those emotions bottled up in a beautiful song that at one point in our lives we will remember again. I'd like to look at how people used to memorize Psalms. The idea that they had them at their disposal, not written on pieces of paper, but able to say them, to recite them whenever they needed them, in the right time, in the right place, to be able to quote in some way these beautiful ancient songs embedded with the truth of a relationship with God. So Psalms stick with us. I'll prove it to you. Have a look at this picture. Of course you know which psalm. You might not remember, of course, that it's Psalm 23, but you will know that it's "The Lord is my shepherd." You might even know "I shall not want," and perhaps even a little more than that. Perhaps you know a great deal of this particularly famous psalm. How many psalms do you know, I wonder? Let's do a quiz. So I'm going to give you the beginning of 6 different psalms. They are well-known ones, just to give you a bit of a heads up on that one. But I'd be quite interested to see whether you could complete the psalm. And so if I gave you the opening words of a particular psalm, are you able to finish the sentence? Let's have a quiz. Test your knowledge. Question 1. As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul longs after you. Question 2. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Question 3. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Question 4. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? It comes from the Lord. Question 5. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. Question 6. Better is one day in your house than thousands elsewhere. How did you do? 1, 2, full mark, 6 out of 6. Isn't it amazing though, for those of you who did do well in that? Where does it come from? Where is it stored? The idea that we know these things. We hear the first part and we know the rest. The Psalms are wise words. They are things that we can live by, emotions that we feel. And in some way, they are guiding principles. Listen to this beautiful reflection on the power of words and commands and promises and relationship that we find in Proverbs. Remember the wise words forever. Let it be as if they were tied around your neck. They will guide you when you walk. They will guard you when you sleep. They will speak to you when you are awake. Their commands are like a lamp. Their teaching is like a light. In Psalm 19, verse 11, we read, I have hidden your word in my heart. I suppose that means off by heart, something that we have taken in and has been written onto our hearts. I have hidden your word in my heart. I have taken it in and made it part of myself. How do you hide a word in your heart? How do you embed it? Here are some ideas. Step 1, if you're going to remember or want to memorize a psalm, start with one you like. Choose one that's popular. Choose one that summarizes. So let's take as an example today, Psalm 23. The version I'm reading of Psalm 23 is from the International Children's Bible, just because I think it reads well. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He gives me rest in green pastures. He leads me to calm water. He gives me a new strength. For the good of his name, he leads me on paths that are right. Even if I walk through a very dark valley, I will not be afraid, because you are with me. Your rod and your shepherd's staff comfort me. You prepare a meal for me in front of my enemies. You pour oil of blessing on my head. You give me more than I can hold. Surely your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Step 2 is to split the psalm that you are trying to memorize into smaller bits that make sense by themselves. And so you could, if you were learning Psalm 23, start with the Lord is my shepherd. You read it, you say it again, you see if you remember it. Say it 10 times over if it's more complicated than that. And then wait until tomorrow. Then do the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And take it from there. Perhaps you can learn a small section by just reading it, thinking about it, trying to picture it, memorize it, see if you have to say it over again, cover it up, say it, check yourself, say it again. And as you go, you layer it day upon day, one small section at a time, always starting with what you learned the day before or the day before that. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And then move on. Step 3 is stick to it. There's no point in starting something and then just giving up. And so if you do want to memorize a psalm, you have to stick to it. So you pick one that you like, you break it into meaningful bits that you are able to memorize. You practice them, you say them over and over again, but then you have to stick to it. It's like a New Year's resolution. There's no point in starting something and then not finishing it. So layer them, go over it again and again, and embed it, hide it in your heart so that you have it with you, so that you don't need a note, that you are able to carry it with you wherever you go. And so when you go through hard times, you can say, yea, though I walk through a dark valley, I'll fear nothing, because the Lord is with me. He protects me with his shepherd's staff. If you learn and layer those words, they become meaningful to you in every situation in life. And in fact, sticking to it, you will be amazed at how many of them you remember and how quickly. Step 4 is sing it. Now, I'm not a singer, so don't worry, I'm not going to sing you anything. But you will be amazed at how many of the Psalms have been sung. Well, they were songs. They were written for music. And so if you just went to YouTube or Googled any of the Psalms, your favorite Psalms, you will surely find a song. Some of them not so good, and some of them exceptional. But if you could find a version of that, you can learn to say the Psalms, you will memorize the Psalms by singing them. And they ride on the music. All of that emotion comes out, and you will know at the end of the day that as you want to praise God, you see something beautiful. That psalm of praise rises from your heart where you hid those words, and it becomes part of that moment in time that will anchor, and you will be able to go, praise the Lord, O my soul. There's just so many beautiful lines that you would be able to say, even if you decided to sing the Psalms or have people sing them to you. Put them onto your playlist and soundtrack them. My step 5 is put it on paper. And now that feels like it's cheating, because I've been talking about writing them on your heart. And now all of a sudden I'm saying putting it on paper. But if you are unable to memorize it, you don't have the time to layer it, you don't have the time to stick to it, you don't have the time to break into meaningful bits, then put it on paper and put it somewhere where you see it every day. Make it a bookmark, make it a fridge magnet, make it something you stick onto your thought board or your notice board where you will see it every day, and you will find that those words do soak into your heart and you will remember them. There's something special about that. In fact, I find that as you try to learn the Psalms, as you try to have some of the feeling and sense of the words being your own, you will be amazed that in some way you start to think like a psalmist. And perhaps that's a challenge that I'd like to leave you with. Are you able to not just read the Psalms and try to memorize some of the Psalms and even sing some of the Psalms, but are you able to start writing like a psalmist? So start with things like, God, I see you when, and write it down. Turn it into a prayer. God, I see you when I watch the sunrise. You are present when a flock of birds flies across the sky. Maybe, God, I need you when things are going wrong, Lord, I need you. Lord, I need you when there are moments where I am filled with anger and despair in equal measure. Lord, I worry about these things. Lord, I'm afraid of these things. Isn't it amazing that the layering of the Psalms is really a prayer, a song and a prayer? Lord, help me when. Lord, be with me when. Lord, where are you? And oh Lord, there you are. Beautiful ways of reflecting on your relationship with God through words you have memorized, hidden on your heart, and sung out in moments of emotion. But most importantly, words that become your own, a communication to God, just as the psalmist would have had it. That's my prayer for you.